and use the red button to see what others are saying. Our first question tonight is from Juan Herrera, please.
Isn't it time for the government to review the current drugs policy after a Home Office report suggested no link between the strict law and the level of illegal use?
This is the report that analysed what was going on and was published today about drugs, showing that there was no correlation between strict law and the level of illegal usage. Caroline Lucas, you had a motion in the House of Commons about this, didn't you, today?
I did. There was a debate this afternoon and it went through. And the motion basically in front of Parliament was asking the government to do a review of our own Misuse of Drugs Act, which was basically a piece of law put in place back in 1971. It's never been reviewed since then. And yet we get lots of evidence that it's not doing the job of protecting people to the best extent possible. So I very much welcome this report from the Home Office. It's been held up for quite some time. I think there was some fights within government as to what exactly it was going to say. But I think that finding, this key finding, that there isn't a correlation between the level of punitiveness and people's propensity to take drugs, really does give us an open door to be able to look again at whether or not our current drug system is protecting people.
This looking again, do you actually want to repeal the law on various drugs or all drugs, saying there shouldn't be a criminal offence to own them, possess them or trade in them?
I want an evidence-based approach, a step-by-step approach, looking at the evidence. I think, from the evidence that I've looked at, that, for example, the decriminalisation of the personal use of drugs would be a good place to start. I think that the evidence from Portugal, for example, suggests that that was very successful. It's led to a halving of people dying from heroin. It's led to a reduction of people taking heroin. It's led to more people going into treatment. Yeah. I think it's really important that addiction is treated as a health issue rather than as a criminal one. I really worry that many young people are ending up with criminal records simply for the possession when they haven't done anything worse than that. So I think we need to be realistic. It's clear that prohibition isn't deterring people from experimenting with drugs. If we want to have a starting point, as I think we do, which is about reducing the harms associated with experimenting with drugs, then it seems to me that we need to have that kind of evidence-based approach.
Owen Paterson, this is the line. No apparent correlation between the toughness of a country's approach and the prevalence of adult drug use. Does that persuade you, this document, that the law should change?
Aldo, I'm not sure that's a totally accurate summary of the document.
I'm just reading it from the document.
I've not read the whole document.
There I have the advantage over you.
You do. But I've seen quotes to say that Portugal brought in a whole range of other measures, health treatments, education, at the same time as they changed the legal status. And the report is clear. It is not absolutely clear which element of the Portuguese policy made the difference. I think what I'd like to say is our policy has reduced drug use over the last 10 years. We're down from 12.2% down to 8.8%.
Of what?
And
of what?
Of
12%
adults
of what?
from over 16 to 65 using drugs. And I think there is no clear, simple solution. So I totally understand, because Caroline's been very eloquent about this, and she has very clear and strongly held beliefs, and has a very difficult problem, I know, in Brighton. But I've also had serious drugs of a bizarre nature. There's a horrible thing made from paint stripper, which was a particularly unique problem in Oswestry, where the West Mercia police were tremendous, and they closed down the producers of that particular product, which is a good example of prohibition really working. And so if I could just finish.
But was that, was that a legal high, or was that an illegal drug that they were producing?
Well, that's a very good point. It was a legal product. We can all go and buy paint stripper every day of the week, but it was being converted into something legal. So my point is, our policy at the moment has reduced drug use by about a third over the last 10 years.
That really isn't true.
Hang on, just let me finish.
All right.
And it is a mixture of enforcement, and it's not a question of putting everyone in prison. Only 3% of those who were caught with possession end up in prison. What is critical are the other programmes. So we've got 200,000 people on rehabilitation programmes, and bringing in something like the National Crime Agency has also begun to reduce the drug use.
Let's just hear Caroline wants to just contradict the facts. Let's just hear that. And I'll come to you who asked the question.
Yes, I mean, Owen Paterson says that drug use has come down, but that actually masks a lot of subtlety behind that overall figure. Cannabis use has come down, and that's been coming down for a great many years, irrespective of what particular class it's in, whether it's Class B, Class C, or anything else. The other use of drugs, the use of other drugs, has remained stable. The number of people who died last year as a result of heroin overdose has actually increased by 32%. So I think there's no cause to be complacent. What I think we do need to worry about is the fact that there isn't enough money going into things like the National Treatment Centre. That is being cut at exactly the same time as crime is costing us £14 billion as a result of drugs.
All right.
It costs the NHS £500 million. This isn't a good use of money, particularly at a time of austerity. You would have thought that this would be a government who would like to know what's happening to all of the money it's spending on a drugs policy. If the evidence is that that drugs policy isn't working, then I think we should look at it again.
No.